Hey everybody, it's Lily again. I am currently on a little back road, not too far from my house. I was driving around and came across this very old looking and very interesting looking cemetery. So I have pulled off on the side of the road. I am going to go check out the cemetery and see what we can find, and I'm going to take y'all along. So let's go. Here I am arriving at the Brown Cemetery. The majority of those buried within are of the Brown family. The farthest back birth date is 1815, and there is a Confederate soldier buried here. It's incredibly beautiful through here. Very secluded with all of the tree coverage. It's just so pretty, so quiet. And this is William Harris Morse. He was a Confederate soldier. He served in the 18th Tennessee Infantry. He went on to marry in 1888 and had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. I'm going to insert a picture of one of the soldiers from his infantry. I just had to record this headstone because of the name, A-V-O-E, Avo. She was the wife of I.H. Brown or L.H. Brown. The records vary. Thought the name was just too cool. All right, I am back from the Brown Cemetery. I think we're going to try and track some more cemeteries down. I'm going to take y'all along for the ride. All right, so I am very surprised that I have not been to this cemetery before. It's located in Lebanon, Tennessee, and as much as I know this area, I have not been to the cemetery. It's the Johnson Cemetery. It says that there are 18 memorials that have been cataloged here, so at least 18 burials. I also, when looking it up on Find a Grave, I'm seeing a lot of interesting history here, including the burial of a former slave. Now it's in the middle of a neighborhood. I'm just going to be parked in the road for a few minutes while I get out and look at all of this history. This is the Johnson Cemetery. As you can see, it's surrounded on all sides by houses. I actually got to speak to one of the neighbors, and he informed me that most of the homes were built on or around burials. He has several in his front yard, and several other neighbors have them also. This is the memorial stone that was placed in honor of Sidney Johnson in June of 2013. She was born in 1850 and passed in 1880. So she was either 29 or 30 years of age. As you can see from the inscription, she was a former slave. It's parts of history like this that are difficult to bear and difficult to face, but her life is worth remembering, and her story deserves to be told. This is an up-close tintype photo of Sidney Johnson. She was referred to as Aunt Sid, and even after the Civil War, she did stay on with the family. This is an old tintype photo showing the entire Johnson family with Sidney to the left-hand side. In the center are Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, and that's James M. and Elizabeth Susan Bettis Johnson, along with 8 children. Not much is known about Sidney's family. There are reports that some of her other family members who were also slaves are buried nearby. One of the neighbors did say that the city comes and maintains this. Of course, there's still a good bit of overgrowth, including this ginormous bush. But inside of here, I was hoping to get a view. I don't know if you can see that stone back in there, and that one as well. Those are headstones. In fact, that one, I do believe, has an inscription on it that I cannot read. And if you're familiar with the South during summer, overgrowth is not something that you're going to want to enter unless you're willing to risk snakes and all the things. There is another headstone. I can see part of the inscription, but cannot tell what it says. We do have one here that is hand hewn and engraved. All right, so I'm gonna just go through this grouping of headstones right here since they're still legible and upright. In the front here, this is the dad of the family, James M. Johnson, 1827 through 1908. He was married to Elizabeth Susan Bettis Johnson, I do believe. This is another photo of James M. Johnson. He was born and raised in Wilson County, Tennessee. His father was James Henry Johnson, who was originally born in Delaware in the mid-1780s. James' father was Henry Swede Johnson. Henry Swede Johnson was originally born in Sweden, immigrated to Delaware, and then eventually came to Wilson County before it was founded in 1799. He and one of his sons signed the petition in 1799 to officially establish Wilson County. We have in the back the infant son of John and Dixie. Dixie was one of James and Elizabeth Susan's children. Right here I stood this headstone up. This was the infant daughter of T.H. Johnson, which was Thompson Johnson. He was the oldest of all the children. This is Jimmy Johnson. He was actually not a grandchild. He was the son of James and Elizabeth Susan Johnson. Elizabeth Susan Johnson's inscription is actually on the back side of Mr. James Johnson. So it says Elizabeth S., wife of J.M. Johnson. She was born 1829 and lived to 1880. That was just an incredibly cool experience, and I hope that y'all enjoyed it as well. Getting to see that history, it's just my favorite. Just my favorite. It did say on the Find a Grave app that there were several individuals whose birth date was within the 1700s, but there weren't pictures of headstones that anyone had cataloged, so it makes me think that maybe that's based off of record elsewhere and not really a surviving headstone. My belief is that history is something that needs to be remembered. It needs to be remembered and cataloged, and it's not always pretty. It's not always something of which to be proud. One thing with humans that you can always count on, and you can't count on humans for a whole lot, but you can always count on the fact that we will always fall short of the glory of God. And sometimes it's miles and miles and miles and miles and miles short. But you can always count on that. And that's really what history tells us. But it also tells us of the redeeming love of God. It makes me tear up. That's why history is so special to me. So, history is not always this shiny little happy memory, but it's always worth discovering and honoring. So I had a good time doing that today. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.